everyone, it's Christy from Green Eyed Tarot, and I'm here today to do kind of a twofold video. Just really want to talk a little bit about something that has come up for me, as well as do a little bit of a declutter. Just went through a lot of my decks, and I've decided to rehome a good chunk of them. And really the reason for that has been, I feel like I've been dealing with a lot of deck overwhelm. And I know this is a topic of conversation that has come up in the tarot community on YouTube, on Instagram. Like I've kind of seen it, come up over the last couple of months. I know it was kind of a big conversation about collecting, and things like that. And I have no judgment for people who collect decks, who have decks in their collection that are strictly just collector's items. Like, if that works for you, that's great, and I kind of love seeing people's deck collections. I love watching, videos that take you through people's deck collections. I love it. But for me, I'm definitely experiencing a deck overwhelm situation. And that's been kind of going on for the last couple of months, where I can't focus on one single deck or 2 or 3 decks and do deep dives with them, because I have so many, and I literally can't seem to focus on just studying 1 or 2 decks at a time, or building a relationship with the decks that I have. So maybe it's more of a situation of I just feel like I'm not doing the deep dive, and I'm not really working hardcore with any specific deck, because there's too many, and I just feel like I should be using the ones that I have, and I'm not. So I feel like I'm being a little bit more discerning with the decks that I bring into my collection now, and also just the ones that are leaving too, realizing I'm not going to work with them. If they're pretty and I like looking at them, that's great. But if they're not going to get used, then I don't want them taking up space on my shelf. And that's a personal choice. And it really kind of has most to do with the stress and anxiety that I'm having with the amount of decks that I have now. It's the most I've ever had. I stopped buying for a little while, but then all of a sudden it picked up again. And honestly, for myself, for me, myself, mentally, and sort of in my spiritual practice, and then also financially, to be quite honest, I want to save money. There's things that I want to save money for. There's so many travel plans that I want to make that, are a goal for me. And I feel like I need to stop buying certain things so that I can put money towards these bigger goals that I have. And I feel like deck buying is one of those things, but it really could be any kind of shopping. I've been grappling with this whole consumerism thing as well. So I feel like it's kind of all tied in together, this deck overwhelm, this just being overwhelmed with things. And I tend to buy, and then all of a sudden I get overwhelmed and get stressed out and have anxiety from clutter. And then I just get rid of everything, which is unhealthy. That's a completely unhealthy pattern. And that's a totally separate video. But I feel like I definitely wanted to kind of talk about it, because I know that I've watched some other people talk about it. And, it's definitely a real thing. And I can kind of I can empathize and identify with people who have that feeling of deck overwhelm. So that's basically, really the main reason I've culled my collection. So now it's going to turn into a deck declutter video, because I'm going to go through the decks that I'm getting rid of. I'm not going to really talk that much about why, but in general, they're just decks I don't use. It really doesn't mean I don't love them. I've grappled with a lot of these actually, but there's really no reason to keep them on my shelf if I'm not going to use them. And I feel like they're better off going to someone that is going to use them. So yeah, so some of these I definitely sort of struggled with, and I'm still sort of I don't know if I want to get rid of these, but in the end, I feel like I need to just sort of make the decision and get rid of them, because they've sort of been on that back burner for a long time, just sitting collecting dust at the back of my shelf. And even when I pull them to the front to try to rotate the deck so that I use them more, I'm still not pulling them out, and I'm still not using them. So so definitely think it's time for them to go. So now that I've gotten sort of that heavy stuff out of the way, the other happy happy thing that's happening in this video is that I hit 200 subscribers. Yay! So I'm like really excited. I think I'm at like 213 now, so that's fabulous. I'm so excited. I can't thank, you know, everyone enough who's subscribed and who watches and comments, and it's so nice to have that interaction with people, like-minded people. So I've decided, because I hit 200 subscribers, that I'm going to do a little giveaway, which I'm so excited. I'm going to be giving away probably 2 decks that I have decluttered, because I still have a whole bunch that I haven't even gotten rid of yet. So I'm going to announce, you know, the decks that I'll be giving away at the end of the video. And basically, if you want to have a chance to win one of the decks, I'll talk about how you can go ahead and do that at the end of the video as well. So please stick around and you can find out how you can enter this giveaway. And I'm so excited to give these decks away and have them move on to someone who will love them and cherish them. And now let's get to the decluttering. Okay, so the first deck that I am decluttering is the Modern Witch Tarot. Pretty sure this is, again, one of those decks that everyone has seen. Not really like anything new here, but you know, it's great. It's a great deck. It's huge. It's like gigantic because the cardstock is pretty thick on this deck. But yeah, I mean, I feel like most people who know tarot, who buy tarot, who use tarot, who peruse tarot decks know about this deck. It's Liminal 11. You know, it's pretty cool. It's definitely a cool deck. You know, for a modern take, it's definitely modern. You know, it definitely has that modern feel. It's an RWS clone. It's like literally a clone of the RWS. So, you know, it's, like I said, it's nothing really against this deck. I just don't find myself reaching for super modern decks. I just don't. And if I do, like, let's say I have this like itch to work with a really modern like RWS clone, I have the Super Lunaris Tarot, which is beautiful and fabulous and wonderful, and just it's a really has an awesome energy. It's very modern. I love it. So if I'm gonna reach for a super modern deck, Super Lunaris is gonna be the one I have. I also have the Light Series, which is definitely, you know, a modern deck, and I really enjoy working with. So I'm gonna have to rehome the Modern Witch Tarot. Like I said, great deck, nothing really wrong with it, but I'm definitely gonna say bye to this one. Okay, so the next deck that I am decluttering is the Vagabond Wild Tarot. These are the backs, and I do happen to like love the backs of this deck. And the gilding is like this pretty pink shiny gilding. So this deck I actually purchased secondhand. So somebody was selling this deck on one of the tarot, you know, trade pages. And sorry, the cardstock is a little glossy, so I'm getting glare daytime. So yeah, so it's got like a little bit of a glossy cardstock. But yeah, it's a really pretty deck. Again, it's you know, it's not really modern. It has like sort of like a cosmic feel to it, but again, I don't find myself reaching for it. I got this like, I feel like several years ago when I was in a different place with tarot, and it's very pretty, but it's not very diverse. You know, the people in it are very young, very body beautiful, very, there is a lack of diversity, definitely. It's a Rider-Waite, you know, again, a Rider-Waite Smith clone. It's, you know, it's pretty. It's, like I said, it's definitely pretty. It has like one of those like digital sort of art feels, which I'm sort of moving away from. It reminds me a little bit of the 90s. Like, I should have done this 90s feels tag that's been going around. This one would probably fit into that one, but again, it's, you know, it's pretty. The cardstock is, you know, is pretty nice. It is a little shiny. I don't know what edition this is, if there's like other editions, but it's by Tiffany Sosa. It's called the Vagabond Wild Tarot. I'm not even sure if it's like still in print. I should probably find that out, but I'm definitely going to be, you know, rehoming this one. It's in perfect condition, even though I bought it secondhand. It's still in good condition, but I'm going to be decluttering the Vagabond Wild Tarot. This next one hurts a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. And I kind of have gone back and forth and grappled with this one a little bit, but it is the very well-known Wild Unknown Tarot. And this, you know, again, a deck that like is very familiar to pretty much everyone in the tarot community. I feel like it gets a lot of love. I feel like there's a lot of people who love this. I feel like in equal measure, there are people who are like, I just don't get it. I can't work with it. It's gorgeous. It's a beautiful deck. It's, you know, the art, it's definitely beautiful artwork. You know, it's definitely a little bit abstract. It's certainly, you know, more like a pip, you know, definitely pip deck. This is like one of the first decks I bought probably when I started getting back into tarot, like really hardcore and using tarot again. I love the Fool. Look at the Fool. It's so cute. So yeah, but I don't read pip. I'm never, you know, never pull this deck out. It's been a long time since I've used this. I know a lot of people, you know, who do use this deck. It's got really nice cardstock. It's really nice, like soft matte. So for a mass market deck, it's like amazing. But mine's pretty much in almost perfect condition because I really only used it when I first got it. Like, I'm pretty sure I used it for a couple of months, like really like hardcore used it. But I really like this Chariot card. It's really pretty. So the, you know, the artwork is really pretty. This is by Kim Kranz. You know, she's a wonderful artist. But, you know, I rehomed her. The Wild Unknown, the Archetypes, I rehomed that one. I just don't really connect with it. And, you know, this one, like I said, it hurts a little bit because I do like it. And it's like, but again, I'm moving away from just having decks to have them. You know, I'm not going to use this. So I need to move away from having decks, you know, on my shelf that are just taking up space. You know, there's no point if I'm never going to use this in having this. So for me, I really need to move away from, you know, decks that I'm not going to use, and this is one of them. So I will be rehoming the Wild Unknown Tarot. Okay, so the next tarot deck that I am rehoming is this one, the Ravenous Dracon Tarot. And this is mass market. This is one of those decks that I literally purchased and I like never used. It's still in order. I'm pretty sure like I went through it, like I looked, you know, the images are quite beautiful. The artwork is beautiful. I sort of love the idea of this raven and like dragon sort of having this relationship, you know, so that's kind of cool, like this Emperor card. But I just never have reached for it. I've never wanted to like, you know, do a deep dive with this deck. Like I said, it's in order. It hasn't been used. I'm pretty sure I just flipped through it. I like the Strength card. So yeah, I mean, it's beautiful, but I feel like this was just an impulse buy for me. Like I was literally in Barnes and Noble and I was like, ooh, dragons, ravens, you know, things that I love, but really without much thought, like put into it. I just sort of like grabbed it and was like, okay, let's get this tarot deck just to get it. And I feel like I need to stop doing that. You know, I need to move on from that, you know, that type of just sort of knee-jerk like buying and not really thinking about it. For me, it's just not working. You know, it's not fulfilling. If anything, it's causing me more stress and anxiety, which is silly. You know, it's silly to do something that's going to cause me stress and anxiety. For me, that seems like a very silly thing to do. And I just feel like I need to stop. Like I said, it's very nice. Like, I feel like it's very lovely. You know, some of the imagery is, you know, is really beautiful and it makes sense for the meanings of the cards. The cards are quite large. They're definitely oracle size cards. Like these are not regular standard tarot, you know, tarot size. It's kind of cool. The backs are like a little shiny and the front of the card is matte, which is cool. I really don't like the backs. I don't know. I feel like they could have done a lot more with the backs. I mean, the front of the cards are like so colorful. But the backs, like, to me just don't match. I don't know. They seem like it seems like it's like two different decks. But yeah, it has a really nice full color guidebook. But again, I'm never going to use this deck. Like, it's not going to happen. It's sat on my shelf since I got it. So it seems really silly to have a deck that's just going to sit there that I'm not going to use. I really would rather, you know, someone use it. So this is the Ravenous Dracon Tarot. And that is going bye-bye. Okay, so the next deck that I'm going to be rehoming is this deck, which is very beautiful. And I grappled with this one a little bit too, but I realized that I bought this for very superficial reasons, which I will talk about. But this is the Penumbra Tarot. This is by Ethany, and Eris Elizabeth is the artist. It's got this like really, look at this bronze edging. It's beautiful. The backs are beautiful. Again, more of an oracle size card. The cardstock is amazing. It's that matte cardstock. It's gorgeous. But I've never been called. I did a full walkthrough of this deck. And I can tell you, like, if you watch the walkthrough of this deck, you'll see that I speak a lot about the guidebook in this deck. And I swear I bought this deck because of the guidebook. I literally saw the guidebook somewhere. It probably was a video, a YouTube video, or it could have been like an Instagram post. I saw the guidebook and I purchased the deck based on the guidebook with very little research, very little forethought. Again, not a good idea for me. For me, you know, to me, it's superficial. I'm sure we've all done it. We've seen like one card out of a deck and we're like, ooh, let's get, you know, that deck, you know, I'm sure. And sometimes that works out and sometimes it doesn't. But, you know, in this case, like a lot of the images like sort of miss the mark for me. You know, it's, you know, the artwork is beautiful, but some of them really missed the mark for me. Like this Chariot card. Like I understand like the cats. To me, this looks like an Emperor card. Like to me, this looks more like the Emperor, but that's the Chariot. Like I love this Strength card. It's a drag queen. And like she's like becoming the lion. So like there's certain ones that I do like I love this Hermit card. But there's certain ones that really sort of missed the mark for me. And like, I just didn't connect with it at all. I pulled it out to try to work with it and nothing. Like I got nothing from it. And like I said, it is, you know, it is beautiful. There are certain, like I love this Crown of Swords card. You know, so some of them definitely resonate, but there's a lot of them that to me are like a little pippish, which is fine, you know. Pips work for some people. It just doesn't work for me. But I couldn't even connect with, like, the scenic images in this deck. I like this Look at this 8 of Torches. That's pretty. But, yeah, a lot of it just definitely missed the mark for me. But, you know, it's a gorgeous deck. The cardstock is amazing, like I said. And it's really the guidebook that I bought this deck for, which is like this really fat chunky guidebook. It's, you know, it's full color guidebook. And the most beautiful thing about this guidebook is there's a, you know, there's a meaning, there's a reverse, there's the artist notes, she has an apogee and a perigee, and then there's a song. And then if you go on Spotify and you look up the Penumbra Tarot, there is a Spotify playlist of all the songs. So every single card has a song in the guidebook. So this guidebook it's amazing. I mean, it's amazingly produced. It's like, you know, it was so nice to like go through and read it. And, you know, it's a lovely, aesthetically pleasing guidebook. But in the end, do I keep a deck because of the aesthetically pleasing guidebook? And for me, the answer is no. And someone else might say, yeah, like this is a really nice book and it's nicely produced and it's colorful and it's got this great information in it, you know, even better. I love the song aspect. Like I said, I feel like that's what sold me on this deck. And it's not a good enough reason for me to keep this deck, especially when I don't connect with the cards and the imagery in the cards. It's beautiful. It's a beautifully produced deck, but I'm never going to use it. And as much as I love this aesthetically pleasing guidebook and this beautiful box that it comes in, it's not enough for me to keep into my collection. So I am going to be rehoming the Penumbra Tarot. Okay, so the next deck that I am rehoming is one that I literally pretty much just got. I pretty much just got this deck on Amazon. I think I got it, I don't know, maybe a month ago or so. And this is the Spiral Tarot. And I'll admit that I sort of like, I've seen this deck. I mean, it's been around a while. Like, this deck is not a new deck. It's, I'm trying to find the copyright date, but I know it's been around a while, definitely. 1997 US games. So this deck has been around a while. So this is not a new deck. I'm pretty sure I've seen it before. But so I've seen it, and I sort of like were drawn to the images, and then I saw someone on YouTube using it like in readings, and I was like, wow. I was like, I was definitely drawn towards it. But again, like, once I spoke about this deck in my crapulent cartomancy video, where I had imbibed some wine, and I talked a little bit about this because I had just gotten it. And I was just like, I don't know how I felt about it. And because it seems a little all over the place. Like, some of the art is like medieval, like period. Some of the art is like Victorian period. And yeah, so I was feeling a little, it was feeling a little disjointed and like disconnected. And because, again, talking about the way I use tarot, like storytelling and narrating the tarot, I was like not sure how I would work with this deck. So yeah, I don't feel like it's going to be one that I'm going to be able to work with. Some of the images are like beautiful and make sense to me, and again, some of them don't. And that doesn't mean like because I don't resonate with certain cards, I'm just going to get rid of the deck. That's not what I'm saying. But for this one, that's just one of the issues I'm having. It's, to me, it just feels like disjointed. Like, it's all over the place. Like, it's different time periods, and yeah, I'm not kind of understanding it, and I'm definitely not connecting with it. It's a weird size too. It's like a little bit more, it's like shorter but wider. So it's not standard tarot size. I mean, I don't mind it, but I don't know. I'm definitely not going to use it. I could just tell, like after I got it and opened it and sort of like flipped through it and then like was just shuffling it, and it wasn't happening for me. So there's no reason for me to hang on to this. I literally just got it, the Spiral Tarot. So I'm definitely going to be rehoming this one. Okay, so the next tarot deck that I'm going to be decluttering, and that's going to be leaving my collection, is the Phantasma Tarot by Paulina Fay, otherwise known as Paulina Cassidy. So, as with like most of her decks, it's very whimsical. It has that very magical feeling. This is like my favorite size tarot card deck. I just really love this size. It's like a little bit bigger than standard. It really allows you to see the whole image. Like, I do love sort of the aesthetics of this deck. Again, it's just not a reason for me to keep it because I like the size. It's like, oh, I wish like their other decks were made this size, but it was the other deck. So to me, that's like, why am I keeping this if I'm not going to use it? It's very beautiful. Her artwork is obviously very dreamlike and whimsical, but I think, again, I bought this deck. I bought this deck at a little crystal shop that's not far from where I live. I think it had like just come out, and I was like, I don't have any Paulina Fay decks. Like, I don't have any. And so let me get this one. Like, again, is that a reason to purchase a tarot deck? Because I don't have any Paulina Fay decks. And like, as a tarot reader, like, shouldn't I have one of her decks? Like, no, that's not really a reason to buy a tarot deck, you know, like sight unseen, you know. I mean, I was like familiar with the deck, like I knew about the deck, but you know, I'd seen the joie de vivre. I was like, oh, you know, her artwork is, you know, is very pretty and whimsical, but it's definitely like a very different aesthetic than I'm used to using. And like, it has that very like masquerade feel, which, you know, some people like really love. To me, it's like, it like is a little bit creepy to me, and that's just me. It has nothing to do with, like I said, the art is very beautiful and sweet, and the pastel colors, you know, maybe it is the pastel colors that I like have trouble sort of, you know, moving past. I don't know. Like I said, it's like if I have these feelings about a deck, I know that I'm never going to use it. And that's what happened. Like I pulled this out in the spring thinking, oh, it's springy, like spring colors. It's giving me sort of spring vibes. Like, and it did give me spring vibes, but I didn't end up connecting with it and wanting to use it at that point in time. And I can't see myself pulling it out and using it, you know, on a regular basis or doing a deep dive or anything like that. So the Phantasma Tarot will be rehomed. We will go back to not having any Paulina Cassidy / Paulina Faye decks, and that's okay. All right, so the next deck that I'm going to be rehoming is another one that hurts a little, not gonna lie, but I'm not using it, and it's definitely time for it to make its way from my tarot shelf, and that's the Chrysalis Tarot. And look at those backs. Look at how beautiful they are. So this this deck is gorgeous. It's so whimsical and storybook-like, and very fairy tale. So why would I rehome this, you may ask? Because it seems like it would be probably right up my alley. And it is. I really don't have anything bad to say. It's, you know, the suits are like renamed. So, and it does have a little bit, I love this, Seven of Pentacles. A little bit of its own, you know, own system, sort of. But yeah, I mean, it's a gorgeous deck. So like the cards have like the title, the Page of Scrolls, but then it also has like another name, like the Acrobat. Here's the Pilgrim, which is the Page of Scrolls. The Watcher is the Queen of Mirrors. Beautiful. Here's the Ace. Look at that. So, I mean, they're very beautiful cards. And like, as usual, I'm second guessing myself because this one, you know, I've had for a good long time as well. And it's beautiful. You know, it is very storybook and fairy tale. I think I struggle a little bit with this one because, again, it's sort of like, it's kind of like all over the place. There's like mythical creatures, fantastical beings and things, which is great. But again, it feels like there's like pirates, and there's like pirates, and there's like jesters, and it looks like Arabian princesses and princes, so like Arabian Nights, and then it also has like Merlin like feel. So it's a little bit all over the place, and that might be why I struggle using it. I did used to use this, like when I first got this, I used it quite a bit, but I wasn't really using it as a tarot, you know, which is fine. There's plenty of decks you can use, you know, as like an oracle instead. But I have oracle cards. I have oracle decks. Probably have too many of those. And, you know, I don't need a tarot deck that I'm going to use as an oracle. I just don't. And I haven't pulled this one out in a very long time. And I don't see myself, you know, using it. It is really beautiful. Again, it's a gorgeous deck. Like I said, I don't really have anything bad to say about it other than I'm just not using it. And I just don't use it. And I don't foresee myself using it. I have the book, you know, it comes with like a little book, but then this is the big book. So, I have the big book with it. And then it also came with this fold out like mat that has like, it's like a reading mat. It's the Chrysalis Fairy Ring spread. again, something you would think that would be right up my alley, and it kind of is, but I'm never going to use it. So it's time for me to say goodbye to the Chrysalis Tarot. Okay, so this next one I feel like I'm going to get a little bit of flack for, maybe, because it is a very popular deck, and it's just one that I don't use. It's one of those that would be a collector's sort of item for me, and that is the Spacious Tarot. As everyone gasps, and it's beautiful. This deck has such a unique voice, this deck, really. And obviously just by the name, the Spacious Tarot. And it's made to give people space, you know? Like, it's definitely made for doing readings and giving you the space. Like, it doesn't have any people, no people. You know, so it's very uncluttered, and you know, it will give very uncluttered readings. You know, it's giving you that space to use your intuition, to put yourself in, again, which you think would be something that I would be so, you know, drawn to, stepping into the cards. But for me, part of that is I need those illustrated scenes, you know, that very, you know, illustrated style. And even though I'm kind of gravitating even towards more abstract like decks, because it's really helping me to broaden the scope, you know, and the way that I use tarot, you know, so it is really helping me like do that. This just misses the mark a little bit for me in terms of being able to get into the cards and find, like, get excited about it. Like, they're very beautiful and it's very simple, and I totally understand the meanings and why this deck was created this way and why it's called the Spacious Tarot. It, you know, there's nothing, I have nothing really negative to say. It's, like I said, it's so unique, but I feel like I would be holding on to it because it's unique, you know, and because it's the Spacious Tarot. Like, I feel like I would be just holding on to it for that reason, and I just don't think it's a good enough reason. It's like how people always talk about, like, the pagan otherworlds. They're like, I have the pagan otherworlds because you're a tarot reader. It's the pagan otherworlds. Like, people are just automatically supposed to love that deck. And I happen to love that deck, but I connect with that deck. And that deck is a pip deck, you know, but something about that deck speaks to me, definitely. So it's like that same feeling, like, oh, you're supposed to love the Dark Mansion Tarot. Like, everyone's supposed to, you know, love the Deviant Moon, you know, which is one that I just can't, like, I just don't connect with, and I never have had it, and I never have wanted to have it. So it's like that feeling of, like, how could you get rid of this deck? Like, and, like, I don't even know if anyone's really saying that or thinking that, but in my mind, like, that's, you know, what I'm thinking, you know. And is that a reason to keep a deck? Again, no. For me, no. It's just not a reason to keep a deck. That it's unique and it's special, and it's all of those things. And there are people out there who like love this deck and use it all the time, and that's great. That's amazing. It's like a huge part of their tarot practice. But for me, I'm not going to use it, and I never do. I never pull this out. It's not really the way I read tarot. And again, I need to move away from getting decks just to have them, just to say, oh, I have the Spacious Tarot. Like, that's not for me anymore. And I'm going to move away from those, you know, that type of thinking. And so I will be rehoming the Spacious Tarot. Okay, this next one is kind of, it's kind of silly, really. It's kind of a silly one to get rid of. But again, why am I keeping it if I'm not going to use it? And it's the Centennial, the Smithway Centennial Edition. And again, everyone gasps because everyone has this deck and loves this deck. And I love it too. I mean, I love the Rider-Waite-Smith. It's how I learned tarot. But I have the Universal Weight, which is my first ever tarot deck, and I have 2 copies of that because I don't want to ruin my original one from the 90s. And so like when I want traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, I usually go to that one. I also have the vintage Pam, the vintage one, which is cool because it's like all antiqued. And then I have the borderless edition. So I sort of put this one, the Centennial, and the borderless side by side. And I realized I like the borderless better. It's like really cool to have an RWS, you know, traditional RWS deck that's borderless. So I decided, but why do I have this Centennial edition and the borderless and the universal weight and the vintage Pam? It just didn't seem to make sense to me. And I know people love the colorations on this. I mean, I do too. I think this is a great, like, standard, like, tarot, you know, RWS traditional tarot deck. I do. But there's no reason for me to have this on my shelf. Like, there's really no reason for me to keep this and the universal weight and the borderless. So I just did a side by side, and I just decided to keep the borderless instead of this Centennial. So I will be rehoming the Smithway Centennial edition and just keeping my other traditional RWS decks that I have. Okay, so this is, I believe, my last tarot deck that I will be rehoming. The rest are Oracle. And this one is like one that I literally have grappled with and went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth with. I actually just spoke about this deck in another video, and this is the Odin's Playbook Tarot. And I literally just spoke about this deck in my decks that tell a story. Because it does, it's a really well done, well produced deck. Like, look at the edging on this deck. It's probably like my favorite edging ever. It's like this matte, look at that blue color. It's gorgeous. And it's a really beautiful Norse themed deck. This is by Danielle Norman. It was a Kickstarter. I backed it on Kickstarter. It's really nice and really sort of different, you know, from anything else that I have. And I realized that it's different from anything else that I have because I don't have any other really Norse themed decks, not even Oracle decks, because I am not drawn to Norse mythology. I studied runes a little. I use runes from time to time. That's about it. That's as close as I get to Norse mythology. So I don't know why I thought this deck, maybe I thought this was going to be like my intro into Norse mythology, or like I was going to pursue study of Norse mythology. And I've really decided that I need to have the time and energy for the things that I really am focusing on and things I really do want to study. And so I feel like my tarot practice has been a little scattered over the last, I don't know, probably over the last year. I feel a little scattered, and it's that deck Overwhelm. Look at this moon card. It's gorgeous. That's that deck Overwhelm. That's part of it. The deck Overwhelm is making my tarot practice feel scattered, disorganized, disheveled, whatever you want to call it. And I get major anxiety from clutter. I'm a person that, like, I get when there's clutter and I start to get anxiety and like stuff has to be put away or thrown away, and I don't know where that stems from. Again, that's like a different video, I'm sure. But I do tend to get a lot of anxiety. So when I feel disheveled in my home, you know, in my space that I live, or disheveled at work, like in my workplace, like my desk at work, my office, like my work area, I start to get anxious and overwhelmed, and then I can't focus on anything, and that's all I can focus on. And I feel like that about my deck Overwhelm. So again, should I keep this deck because it's beautiful and I love the edging? It's one of my favorite edges. It's not really a reason to keep this deck. Should I consider keeping this deck because I'm going to work with it on a regular basis and I'm going to like really get to know it and use it? That would be a reason to keep it. But I'm not going to, because I don't connect with this Norse energy. My spiritual practice is very different from this. And as I've always said, tarot and using tarot is part of my spiritual practice. It's interconnected. I use it interconnectedly. And this like really doesn't have a place in my spiritual practice because I'm not interested in Norse mythology or the Norse religions or Norse deities and things like that. You know, I have a very like limited knowledge of certain things, but it's not something that I'm going to work with. But it is a gorgeous deck, and it deserves to be worked with, and it deserves to have a home with someone, you know, who maybe like loves Norse mythology and would really use a Norse themed deck like this. And I just feel like it's such a shame that it's sitting on my shelf and I'm not using it, and I haven't used it at all. And a beautiful deck like this should be used. So this is the Odin's Playbook Tarot by Danielle Norman. It's gorgeous. And I'm going to be rehoming it, and I hope it goes to someone who's going to really, really appreciate it because it's a very nice deck. Okay, so I'm back, and it is obviously a different day. I'm here to finish this video on the purging of tarot and oracle decks that I'm doing. So I'm up to oracle decks. I went through all the tarot decks that I will be decluttering, and now I'm to oracle. It's just only three oracle. I actually recently did like a big purge of my oracle decks, so it's only three right now. So the first one that I'm going to be rehoming is the Threadbound Oracle, which is a really cool oracle deck. I'm a little sad about this. It kind of opens like a book. It looks like a book, which is kind of cool. And the box is very cool. So this is the Threadbound Oracle. It's, like I said, it's very cool. It's a very cool oracle deck. It comes with a little guidebook. This oracle is based, literally, the whole oracle deck. Look at the backs. It looks like a little spool of thread. Because this oracle is based on book binding, parts of books, book making. It's like very cool. So this is the 5 of ink solvent. So it's an oracle deck, but it has suits. So it's almost like a tarot. Like this is the sun. It's almost like a tarot deck, but it's not quite. And it's very inclusive. It has like a really nice vibe to it. It's just, again, so here's like paper pulp, ace of paper pulp. So these are all like parts of books, materials that you would use in bookmaking and book binding. So it is a very cool deck. The cardstock is like it's almost like a linen cardstock. It's very cool. I just have never found myself reaching for it or using it. It's like I can't really figure out what to pair it with when I do pair tarot and oracle together, because I've been kind of like doing that more often. But I just don't. And so here's the antagonist. So there's a protagonist. Here's the antagonist. So look, I love this, the end. It's just scissors cutting the threads. Like I said, it's really cool. The artwork is beautiful. The cardstock is like really nice. It's a linen finish, but I just don't find myself reaching for it. Here's the ace of ink pigment. So it is a very cool deck. It's got this really cool vibe because it has like such a niche. Like you don't see, I mean, how many oracle decks do you see that are based around bookmaking and book binding? The 4 of paper signature. So like it is very cool. I don't find myself using it. It's one of those things where like I would just keep it just to have it, and I don't want to do that anymore. As I've kind of discussed, and I'm not going to say anymore, but basically I just am not using it, so I'm rehoming it. So the next oracle deck that I am rehoming, and this one I've gone back and forth as usual, Miss Indecisive, is the Healers of the Earth Oracle. So now this was a Kickstarter that I backed. This is by Mandy Peterson. I think she goes by Mystic Mandy on Instagram, I believe. But yeah, Mystic Mandy is her Instagram. So this deck is very cool. Healers of the Earth. It's an oracle deck. It is a big oracle deck. There is a lot of cards in this deck. I think it's like 80 something cards if I'm correct, and it does come with this pretty full-size guidebook. And each card has an upright and reversed message, so pretty decent amount, you know, on each card. But this oracle deck is written, and the author kind of talks about it, the creator talks about it. It's sort of like a deck for empaths, you know, for people who do that type of work, for people who identify as empaths. So it is very interesting and unique, and it does have some like very cool artwork. The cardstock is really nice. It's matte. It's a matte cardstock. It has this really beautiful green matte gilding, which is amazing. I'm really loving the matte gilding on cards. Again, not enough of a reason to keep the deck if I'm not using it. One of the things that throws me off on this deck is that there are words on the back. So there's like categories of cards. So this is spiritual hygiene is the category on this card. So if you can see the backs are very beautiful, but then they have this writing, and this is caught in her web. So this is, look at that, it's beautiful. So this is caught in her web, and this is spiritual hygiene. Then you have collective emotional. So this is another category of cards, but it's on the back of the cards. Braving the storm. They are really, really pretty cards. Like the artwork, some of the keywords, breathing room. Like see, it's like empty tables and chairs. It's really interesting. It's a really interesting deck. This one's called Without a Care. This is personal emotional. So you have personal emotional, and then you have collective emotional as like a category. The law of balance. This is empathy and relationships. So there are categories on the back that may not bother you. They tend to bother. It bothers me a little bit. Like when I started using this, it sort of kind of like distracted me while I was shuffling and stuff. It would be like a distraction a little bit for me. This says the ice thaws, and that's hypervigilance and illusion. Sorry, that was like way too close. Withdrawal symptoms. So this is, you know, this deck is this is purification and release. So this deck is very like therapeutic. I would say this is a very therapeutic deck. Healers of the Earth. Okay, this is a very healing. Don't forget your umbrella. Like it has really interesting phrases on it. And really kind of like this is Black Swan. It says an unforeseen event, a surprise, hindsight. Like it's really interesting. And like I said, the more I look at it, the more I start to flip-flop back and forth. Because I feel like this could be used in a lot of different ways. Like I feel like the artwork is very gentle. Like the colors are very sort of gentle and healing. And a lot of the messages are very healing. So there's a divine feminine and a divine masculine card that I remember. So this one is Akashic Records, deeper knowing, archaic wisdom, and history. Spiritual hygiene. That's the category. So like I said, it's on the back of the card. So it is, a lot of it is very whimsical, but it is very healing, and it has a lot, like this is feeling numb. So it has a lot to do with emotions. So yeah, so this one is definitely one I kind of go back and forth with, because I just don't know. Like I haven't used it. Maybe I haven't given it enough time. Maybe I haven't allowed myself to work with this enough, because it is really pretty and it is really interesting. Like this one says going off grid, unplugging, disappearing for a while. Industry and technology is the category on this one. Like it is really cool, like and different. I don't have anything else, and it's a lot of cards. This one says the high road, doing the right thing, loyalty, ethics. I'm having like such an issue holding these up right now. I'm sorry. I like just got home from work and I just literally am so tired. Okay, sound healing, healing tones, self-expression, music. Like Yeah, so going through these cards is not really helping me right now. This is making it worse. I feel like I need to do a walkthrough of this deck. I don't know. I don't hear a lot about this deck. Maybe I need to do a walkthrough because it's pretty cool. And like now that I'm holding it in my hand, it's like really nice cardstock, and it is a really cool deck. And it was a Kickstarter. It's not like it's mass market. I may rethink this one, but this is one that like I've really thought about rehoming in the past and like literally have flip-flopped and flip-flopped. So I guess I'm just gonna flip-flop some more. It's cool. So I might have talked myself out of that one. We'll see. Okay, so the last one, and this is one I'm probably definitely gonna rehome. This is the last deck that I'm rehoming. This is Nature Portals. This is by Jamie Sawyer. So this is pretty cool. It's a round deck. I don't really jive with round decks, so good idea getting one. That was a really smart move on my part. But yeah, it's called Nature Portal, so it's kind of exactly what it sounds like. It's round, so portal. You know, portals are like usually round. It's the backs are pretty cool. So yeah, so it's nature portals. So you're literally looking at, you know, animals. Like here's a bat, here's a bear, here's bumblebees. Oh my gosh, this one is so cute. And then we have a caterpillar. Oh, here's everyone's favorite, a kitty cat. It's a cardinal. Oh, there's a blue jay. Oh, I love this one, chipmunk. So they're very cute. They're very, you know, they're nature portals. It's like looking through a portal, like a little spyglass at nature. It's almost like, you know, like a nature photographer who's like zoomed in on their subject and like this is the scene you're looking. So it's very nice. Again, I just don't find myself using it. I use animal decks very sparingly and in very specific ways. And I have the Illustrated Bestiary, which is like my favorite animal deck of all time. So I have that. So I have the Oak, Ash, and Thorn Tarot. That's like the epitome of like animal decks. Those are like all the animals that I need really. You know, but this is like it's very nice. And I bought this. So I bought this off Jamie Sawyer's, I'm pretty sure I bought it off of her Etsy shop, I believe. But I also got the journal that goes along with this. So there is a journal that she developed. So it's spiral bound, you can see, and then it has pages like this. So this is bear. So it has bear facts, it has keywords, and then there's like a little story, which is nice, like a little story about bears, you know, about why. There's one from the creator and the artist, so Jamie, and I believe she created this with her mom. So then we've got journal with bear, and then there's a space for you to journal. So there's like some journal prompts. In what ways has instinct taken over logic in a surprise situation? So it's got like cool journal prompts, and there's one for every single animal. So here's groundhog, so cute. And then on this page, journal with groundhog. So it's pretty neat. Like I said, there's one for every card in the deck. So it's a kind of a really nice way to get to know this deck and study it, and then do journaling with it if it's something that you like to do. So it is a really nice deck, and I just don't, you know, I've had it for a while. It's been at least over almost 2 years, and I haven't used it. Because like I said, I have my animal decks, Woodland Wardens, the Illustrated Bestiary, Oak, Ash, and Thorn. That's really all I need in terms of animals. I'm not really drawn to just animal only decks. So I'm going to be rehoming Nature Portals by Jamie Sawyer. So that's it for decks that I'm rehoming. I feel like that was very long and drawn out and a lot of stuff. So now let's get to the good stuff. The good stuff is that I'm doing a giveaway because I have over 200 subscribers now, which is amazing, and I'm so excited, and I cannot thank you all enough. It's been fabulous. So I'm going to be doing a giveaway. Basically all you have to do is comment below on this video, and you can comment whatever you want. Comment decks that you're decluttering, or comment you know, maybe there's a deck that I'm decluttering that you love, and like maybe why you love it, or just whatever you'd like. Just comment on the video, you know, about decks you're using or decks you love, or just anything tarot, anything you would like. And so if you comment below, I will be then just putting everyone's name from the comments and picking the winner. And so the winner of the giveaway will have a choice of either the Ethereal Visions Tarot. So this tarot is, I believe it's pretty, you know, familiar to most people, but this is the Ethereal Visions Tarot by Matt Hughes. I know they came out with a different one. It's like a Luna one that's a little dark. This is the original version. So the Ethereal Visions, or a choice between that or this and the Steampunk Tarot. So this is, you know, one of those Llewellyn sets. So you get like the big guidebook, and the guidebook is by Barbara Moore. It's illustrated by Ali Fell. So this is the Steampunk Tarot. So the winner of the giveaway will get a choice between those two, and then whichever deck you choose, you will also get a copy of The Ultimate Guide to Tarot by Liz Dean. So this is a full color, like pretty much amazing book. It has tons of information in it. So you get the full color card image, you get the element, the astrological association, the number, the tree of life position, you get meanings, you get like an upright meaning, an understanding of it, a reverse meaning. So you get that for every single one of the cards. It's a really nice book. Like I said, fully illustrated. It's got big like illustrations. So if you don't want to have like if you're studying tarot and you don't want to have the deck like out with you, it's got huge full size, it looks like a regular size tarot card illustrated in here. And the major arcana has like it goes into more depth with the astrology, with Kabbalah, the chariot symbols. I like how she does this aspect of it is like try a reading with the chariot, like kind of like using that as like an anchor card, and then how you would do the reading. So yeah, it's a really nice book, fully illustrated. So whoever wins the giveaway and whichever deck you choose, Ethereal Visions or the Steampunk Tarot, will get the Ultimate Guide to Tarot by Liz Dean. So yeah, so that's the giveaway. Just comment on this video. I'm gonna say by Friday of this week. So I'm going to close it out this Friday, which would be August 19th by 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. That's the time zone I'm in. So by Friday, August 19th, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, I'm going to close out the, you know, the comments, and I'm going to pick the winner, and I will announce it on Saturday morning when I do my morning messages from the Fae. So thank you so much for everyone who subscribed and who's been so nice and supportive and interacted with me on YouTube. It's been so wonderful. I've been enjoying it so much, and I love connecting with like-minded people and people who like to talk about tarot and all sorts of other fun things. So thank you so much, and please, if you're enjoying my content and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and like this video, and please comment so I can give away one of these lovely tarot decks. I'm super excited. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye.